You know, the state just hit 67% increase in terms of the state sales tax. Now, for the people sitting around this table, that probably it's going to have an impact. It's not going to have that much of an impact. But if you take a look at the makeup of our community, you have a lot of single heads of households. And if you look at their income is probably much lower than what the average income is. But if you just take a family of four who's making $40,000 a year, that's an extra $53 a month they're going to pay in state income tax. If you're making 40 grand a year and you've got a husband and wife and 2 kids, $53 is a lot of money. I think that the city has to live within the revenues that they have right now. And I think what you have to be able to do is to take your expenses and match them against your revenues, because I don't see us being in a position to increase sales tax or any other types of taxes in this environment. I think the other thing that we need to keep in mind is that the way the economy is right now, it's probably not going to turn around for a period of maybe 5 to 10 years. So that if anybody thinks that something's going to turn around overnight and suddenly there's going to be money flowing in, it's not going to happen. The price of electricity is not going to go up that suddenly we're going to be getting a lot more money. We're living in the environment that we're in, and we ought to plan for that environment as we budget and look at city government. If suddenly things turn better, well, that would be great. But I really believe that the environment we're in is the environment we're going to be sitting with for the next minimum of 5 years. And it could be 10.
So get used to it and don't expect
plan for it. Set your plans based on what it is, not what you hope it is.
As far as the sales tax increase, no. Yeah.
Same property tax.
Yeah, no tax. I don't think people in this community can take it. They don't want it. They didn't last night. They didn't want to pass an increased fine for parking meters. So if they don't want to do that, there's no way that you can pass another tax.
I agree. This is no environment to be raising taxes.
You go ahead.
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right.
CC?
Everything has to be cut to bare bones. I think we have plenty of money. We just got to go back to the basics, what government's going to do, and you can cut enough to get it. And I voted for all of them, so I'm not going to sit here and BS people. I mean, we voted for a ton of tax increases, and we just need to spend it right now.
I've said many times that I wouldn't take anything off the table. The fact is, I do believe that there is enough things that we can do, enough cuts that we can make, especially when you look at payroll, especially when you look at possibly contractual services. But payroll is something like 80% of the corporate fund budget. Last time I looked, 78%, something like that. If in fact everything that I've been researching so far and everything that I've heard is true, and we can do the HR audit and we can get rid of some of those excess positions and also get rid of positions through possibility of an early retirement program and some other attrition. We get the staff to where it should be. I don't believe there will be any need for a tax increase, because I think that in conjunction with the improving economy is going to put this city on solid footing for quite some time. And then, of course, you've got Dolman 4 as well. Eventually, the power market is going to turn around. But to answer your question, what would it take for me to propose any kind of a tax increase? Number one, it wouldn't be a sales tax increase. If I were to do any kind of a tax increase, it wouldn't be sales tax. Number two, it would have to come to the point where the frontline services that people care the most about and are the most vociferous about start to be affected. That would be your police, that would be your fire, that would be your streets, potholes, public works, snow plowing would be a great example right now. You get to the point where you don't have snow plows on the road, people are going to care about that. And they might be willing to pay just a little bit more of some tax to get those services that they desire. We talked about this in the beginning about this not being a business. It's not a business.
Is property tax an option?
Property tax. The problem with the property taxes is, and I've seen this in Sherman, They did the same thing that Springfield did. They hadn't raised their tax rate over the last 20 years or so, and Sherman is really hurting because of it. And the mayor out there now is doing a great job of dealing with the issues. But Springfield probably all along should have looked at least keeping their property taxes up with inflation or something close to it, just to keep a little bit more coming in, because it hasn't kept up. Now, having said that, I'm not talking about any sort of a drastic, and wouldn't look at any sort of a drastic increase like which was introduced. I believe it was last year. It was like 20-some% or something like that. You can't do that. You cannot do that. So the best thing you can do is live within your means. And I think the main point is, if people see you not automatically going out and raising taxes the first thing out of the gate, that they're going to be a lot more amenable to a tax increase should it have to happen, as long as you've demonstrated a willingness and an ability to cut first, and to cut a lot, and been able to show continued discipline with your hiring and all of your other expenditures. I think if you can demonstrate that, you will gain enough goodwill with your constituents, that they understand that this is truly a last resort if they want to keep snowplows on the road, and if they want to keep firehouses open. And if they are okay with that, they'll let you know. I mean, the one thing that I've seen is they always let you know if there's a service that they want that they're not getting. So it would be an absolute last resort, and I truly believe we would not have to get to that point with the appropriate leadership in the position of mayor.
Okay, Sheila?
No, I have already stated publicly that I'm not in favor of any new taxes for current services. And, you know, I think that, and again, with our economy the way it is, and people hurting all over this community and others, and statewide and nationally, I don't know that we can, pick any more money out of people's pockets. I just don't. I think we have to look at it from the budget standpoint and get ourselves to live within our means. When I go door to door and I talk to people around the community, I mean, there just seems to be no tolerance for new taxes. People just have had it. They're just done. They've had enough. And I think part of it is because we've raised taxes for the last several years, quite a few times. And And I would agree, I think part of what you were saying too is that, you have to be able to show people that government is providing the types of services that they want, and that government is spending their money wisely. And we haven't done that. We haven't done it at the national level, state level, local level. People don't trust how we're spending their money. So it's very difficult, once you've lost trust with people, to keep going back and asking them to put in more based on promises for this or that. I think we really need to get our house in order. And if that means down the road at some point that the question was, at what point would you do it or whatever? If there was an emergency, or, we had a crisis or an emergency, I mean, clearly I think then you'd have to consider it. But I don't see that, as a regular funding mechanism for government. I think we need to look at all those other things, the unnecessary spending, the reforming government, the eliminating of unnecessary positions if they're there, and I would look at management and supervisory level for that. That all has to be done first. I mean, it just has to be.